Hello everybody, I'm Michael Giacchino. I write the music for Lost, and I just wanted to welcome you to the official Lost video podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the official Lost video podcast hosted by ABC.com. I'm your host Chris, and today we're going to be going behind the scenes with Michael Giacchino for Tour the Scoring Stage. We did this a couple of seasons ago, back when we were only doing audio podcasts, but now that we're doing video podcasts, we figured it'd be great to go back behind the scenes and actually see a Fulpamba as well as hear it.
When I started working in TV, my fear was that I wasn't going to be able to work with live orchestra because when I started on Alias, there was no shows essentially that was using a live orchestra because it's expensive, and over the years synthesizers have come to replace live musicians, which is very sad. So when I met JJ, one of our first conversations was, I felt like we had to do it with a live orchestra. I didn't want a standard orchestra for this show. I just wanted something that was not typical for what you would get on a show about characters stranded on an island. So the orchestra I put together was, trombones, 4 trombones, a string section, a crazy percussion a group of just crazy stuff back there, a harp player, and a piano player. This is Mark. Mark is a great piano player, and I'm lucky to have him on everything I do. Can you give us a little example of what the show sounds like piano-wise?
I mean, so far this week what I'm seeing is...
Very, very romantic, beautiful stuff. That's a love scene between Kate and Sawyer. Here we have a player that can play any beautiful thing in the world on the harp, and what do I ask them to do? I go say, okay, grab the low C and you hit it with your nail 14 times, at a tempo of 60 BPM, right?
And I'm glad to do it.
It's just, they say that, but come on, they'd much rather be, I'm sure. I always feel so bad when I write that note, and I'm like, ugh. But
we are glad to do it.
What does it sound like? Can you grab that? There you go. This giant thing is needed to do that, but it's such a great sound. It carries scenes, whole scenes. It'll carry a whole scene sometimes. Just that thing over and over. When I worked on Alias with JJ, I'd get a tape and I would watch the entire episode and I'd be like, okay, I get the episode and I get what the story is, and I'd start working on it. But with Lost, I remember after seeing the very first episode, I thought, no, this has got to be done differently. And what I wanted to try and do was, what I'll do is when I sit down to write an episode, I'll watch it only a scene at a time. I don't watch the whole thing. So I'll start at the beginning, I'll get to a point where there needs music, and I'll write that cue. I remember in the beginning they were like, should we send you scripts? Because on Alias I would get scripts every week. New ones would come every week and they'd pile up in the house. On Lost I said, I don't want anything, nothing, because I don't want to know. I mean, for me, I just wanted to kind of do the best job I could for the audience and hopefully make them feel as on the edge of their seat as they need to be with the show. I don't know if that works or not. I have no clue, but for me it's kind of fun, and it's a different way of approaching the job that I do, which is normally done very, watch the whole show, put music here, here, and here, where it feels a little bit more creative to me.
My name is Carl Vincent, and I'm a low-frequency modulator, or bass player, if you will.
If you will.
Mr. Giacchino happens to be an expert in paraspatalic apparitions that are indispensable in the production of medianimic phenomena. If you listen to his music, you will find radical insight, auditory hallucinations which are induced into all the listeners, which makes Lost really a remarkable show that has the medianimic faculties of expansion and penetrability.
So
know what I'm saying?
We have not yet been able to figure out if he has a high IQ or low IQ. We're still working on that. We have teams of scientists figuring that out.
Well, I mean, the proof is in the pudding.
Great bass player right here. All these guys are fantastic. What do you normally play on film scores?
Like this.
And that must be exciting for 3 hours.
Painful.
So
I have to try and move
and
around.
what's it like when you come here for Lost? What's the... the cello is?
It means in Italian near the bridge, and that's what I'm doing here.
Hear that cool, like it's a cool, scary kind of a sound, isn't it?
And then you can go right off to the other side.
When we work, the scene gets projected up here, and we also have it in the booth. I'll generally stay in the booth. Since we have a very short period of time to do these things, my friend Tim will conduct for me, and I'll sit in the booth with Dan Wallen, the engineer, and I'll listen back to the playback. And the players, it's funny, because some of the players watch the show, and you can see them as they're playing. They're kind of like playing and looking up, sneaking peeks at the screen and wondering what's going on. So they're always getting hints of what's to come, you know, but it's hard to make sense because we usually go out of order when we're recording. So you're seeing different random scenes, and then they can't hear the dialogue. So, and we have 3 hours to get it all done. We have to get it done in 3 hours, or you know, I get fired. So it's here. This is the percussion room. I don't know if you can come in here and see this. But Emil Richards, who owns all of this stuff, he built this thing. He builds all these crazy things. What's the highlight of your career?
I would say Dr. Zhivago was one of the highlights.
Come on, how cool is that?
Yeah, and Star Trek, the first Star Trek.
And you're going to be doing the next Star Trek?
No, I'm not on that one.
No, yes you are, because I'm doing it.
Oh, wonderful.
So you are on it.
Come on and
All
play
right,
a couple
go.
things with me.
This is called a flapamba, you know, and no, I never knew what a flapamba was before Lost either. Isn't that cool? It's a great, like, eerie sound, you know? And this is an actual piece of the crashed airplane. Growing up, I made movies. I made Super 8 movies and back to regular 8 movies before there was Super 8. I was making regular 8 movies, stop motion films, and me and my friends in the neighborhood would get together and make these crazy films. And so for me, this is where I was headed since I was 10 years old, you know, not knowing, of course, how the heck I would ever get there, but I certainly hoped that I would get there at some point. And just, you know, it's been a crazy path, but yeah, to be here is great. And I feel like I'm still 10 years old. I feel like I've never left the backyard.
Thanks for joining us. That's it for this edition of the Lost Video Podcast. Join us again in a couple of weeks when we go back behind the scenes for a mixing session with executive producer Brian Burke. Until then, you can always check out our audio podcasts at abc.com. And of course, new episodes of Lost airing on Wednesday nights from 10 to 11 p.m. on ABC.
What do you just count in? Yeah. Four in. 1, 2, 3. It's ABC made us hire them. Believe me, I would get rid of them if I could.